Oh, dude, speaking of grown up stories, what is so I've heard the story. You've mentioned you were in prison before. Like what led up to that and what happened exactly?
Oh, you got all night. Uh, drugs, drugs. I was not a good kid. I was just not. I was a messed up kid. I was adopted. My parents did the best they could, but I was like straight up wild child, dude. So it's not like my parents did anything bad. They were pretty normal, nice parents. They just adopted this demon baby who just went nuts. I started drinking when I was 12 and getting into drugs and, hang out with punk rockers and doing all kinds of crazy shit. And it led to wherever drugs take you when you're an addict. It's jails, institutions, or death. So I got to experience briefly all three. Well, not the death was brief. The prison was not. The institution was brief. So, but I've been in and out of rehabs. I can't even count how many freaking rehabs I've been in. And I spent almost 4 years of my life behind bars, just give or take, the prison time and the jail time. But drugs and a wild lifestyle, not respecting authority and being pretty awful.
Well, it sounds like you came out on the winning side.
Yeah, like prison worked on me. Like I was like, I ain't going back there, especially because I got lost in the cracks. So I was like a level 2. There's level in California. There's level 1 through 4. Right, 1's minimum security. 2 can be minimum security. But they put me in a max, in like a not a super max, but it was an old super max. So old Folsom, through a clerical error. And I got stuck there
Jesus
for a year and a half. And it was fucking gladiator school, dude.
Oh
So, yeah. And then I spent the rest of my time, they finally corrected the error and put me in a minimum security camp. But yeah, that was wild. That was wild.
Jesus, man.
Where they filmed American Me. So old Folsom.
Yep. And so, like I said, I feel like that what do they call it? Like a success story. Like you went low and then you went high as shitballs. Because your content's like documentary level and great, and people love it. So
thank you. I've got great editors, and I'm obsessed. Like when I start recording a video, my day's screwed because I just do that all day. That's what I've been doing all day. But I have great people around me now with Perry and Quarter Black Garrett, our boy Quarter Black Garrett, and X-Ray Girl. But yeah, it was a long process. Once I got out, I got sober. I just did freaking shit jobs forever. I worked retail and delivered auto parts, and I did just Joe retail and blue collar work. I became a parts professional, worked in the auto industry forever, and bought a comic store, which everybody knows about. But then I relapsed big time, dude, just huge relapse. And then had to pick myself back up again while trying to keep my marriage together, and which was important because I didn't want to be that dad who didn't live with his kids. That was like the ultimate defeat to me. Worse than prison, worse than anything was, I don't want to be the dad who's not with his kids. Some dads out there might not be with their kids. That's not a judgment on you or anything like that. It's just, I didn't want to be that. So worked really hard and went back to the auto industry, and I was fine with it. I was like, that's fine. So I started this stupid podcast. I did my first one in a Starbucks in West Portal in San Francisco, like 2 days sober for my relapse, just to have fun, just to like stay connected to the nerd folks. Had to sell my store, and then built that. It's been 9 years since that day, a little over 9 years since that day, 9 years and 2 months, and here we are. Yeah, I just stuck with it, and then all of a sudden, it like 5 years in, it started working, and I'm like, whoa, this is weird.
Yeah.
Right. I had a good job at Tesla. I'd worked my way back up, making great money at Tesla. They had the best benefits ever. You didn't have to pay for anything. I could email Elon, and I did email Elon. And it was cool. It was a cool job, but I still wasn't totally happy. We were still doing the podcast thing, and that's when a lot, like Jeremy started up with Geeks and Gamers, and your boy Zach was out there, and the High Council started. I was listening to all that stuff while I was at Tesla, and my channel started taking off from Doctor Who. And this was so stupid, Camelot. When I think back at it, I was like, wow, this was ballsy. So I had 10,000 subs, and I think I had made $1,200 on YouTube. And I'm like, you know what? You only get one shot at these things in your life. And I had passed up a lot of, when I worked in Hollywood and at the comic store, I passed up a lot of opportunities because I was hesitant. So I decided to go completely opposite and go, fuck it. I'm going to ask my wife, hey, I'm going to quit my job. Because my wife was making way more money than me, like she always has. She's owned her salon. She was a hairdresser, top of her game, making bank. Okay, like she was a rock star. So I went, okay, sugar mama, I'm gonna quit my job, okay, and try this YouTube thing because it's once in a lifetime. And if it doesn't work out, 6 months, I'll go back to parts. I won't get the Tesla job back, but I can work anywhere. I know pretty much every car catalog, no problem. So we did it, and it was stupid at first because I was making $1,200, dude, which I was making serious money at Tesla. And luckily, I don't know. It's like a lottery.
Yeah.
That you work hard to win. That's what YouTube is. So the Doctor Who thing happens. Dave Cullen gives me a shout out. I about have a heart attack. And then the next thing I know, I'm being invited on like a local TV show for an interview. And I'm like, what is going on? And yeah, here we are. It just kept going.